Bada bing, bada boom. Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of the podcast. Anyway, so this is episode 2 of the podcast, and honestly, I didn't really have any idea of what I wanted to do with this episode, but then I literally feel like I got a download from the universe, and it told me, because I feel a little hyped up right now, feel a little woo, and it told me, talk about feeling overwhelming and how I reframe that. Because, girl, let me tell you, the energy I have going on right now, this is on no caffeine. Like, I drink decaf coffee because apparently my nutritionist told me my body's in, I keep looking at this part of the camera. My nutritionist told me that my body's in fight or flight. So I need to cut out caffeine, and I agree. I totally agree. It's not a bad thing. I do miss my caffeinated coffee. Not because of the caffeine, but it just tastes different. You know what I mean? Where was I going with this? But anyway, right now I do feel a little hyped up. And I think what's best right now is to take a breath. So, 1 minute. And that's how you get calm. One thing I want to say, super quick, is that breathing is so important. And I feel like a lot of my life, I did not do that. I know that breathing's important, but I didn't know how important it was. And I'm someone, especially when I get all ramped up, I forget to breathe. But the thing is, our breath is connected to our lungs, and our lungs are connected to the nervous system. So if you're not breathing, your nervous system stays in fight or flight because you're taking shallow breaths. Just a little heads up, because I didn't realize this before, and it's honestly changed my life and makes me feel more calm. So if you're someone who gets like this, now you know. But yeah, I wanted to talk about feeling overwhelming, because a lot of my life, some of the limiting beliefs that I held on to were that I am overwhelming, that people don't like me, that people think I'm annoying. And you have to think about it. It's like, where do these beliefs come from? It could be as simple as what I'm doing now. I'm all ramped up, I'm talking, and I could get a weird look from someone. Or sometimes I'm talking to people and I can see it in their eyes that they're kind of like, whoa. And it immediately triggers me, and I'm like, oh God, I'm annoying, I need to calm down. And what I've learned is just notice in yourself if you feel okay, or like with how you're speaking, or in my instance, like feeling overwhelming. Do I feel okay talking like this, or is there part of me that's like, let's take a breath, let's calm down a bit? But then there's another part that's like, I'm not overwhelming. The way that I like to look at it is I like to create a reframe for all the negative or low frequency beliefs that I have about myself. So when I think about I am overwhelming, I've changed this belief to I am passionate. So what is a way that I can look at it at a different angle, in a more positive perspective? And that feels so much better to me, because I am passionate and I love to talk and I have so much to say. That's why I started this podcast. I told you on last episode. And it's not a bad thing it's not that we're overwhelming. It's that we're literally just passionate. And that's an amazing trait to have. It means that, who wouldn't want to be passionate? You're lit up by life. You're lit up by the things you want to talk about. You're lit up by the people that you're around, and you just want to talk to them. And of course, read the room. If people aren't able to be receptive towards that, or they're not able to hold the space for that, you don't want to censor yourself by any means. It's not what I'm saying. But it's more so, there's going to be certain people that really align with you. And I think I posted this on my Instagram. It was my friend Jessie quoting someone, I forget who now, but it was, the right people will align and the wrong people will decline. And that is like, mwah, amazing quote. Because it's so true. If the people that I have in my circle, they can handle all this. Like, I'm not too much. I'm not too much for the right people. I've felt like I'm too much in the past, but when I look back on it, they were not the right people. They were not the people that truly align with me. And we shouldn't have to lessen ourselves in order to be liked by others. We're not about matching energy. We're about maintaining energy. So when there's people around me that are at a really low energy, I'm not going to come down to their low frequency, but I'm also not going to go really high up, like to try and bring them up and force it, but I'm just going to maintain the energy that I have at all times. I'm not lessening myself for them. I'm just staying who Maggie is. And that's what's important, is just becoming aware of how you act around certain people when they don't have your kind of vibe. You just don't mesh sometimes. And yeah, I guess my point with this is like, you're not too much. You're not overwhelming. You may feel that way, and that's okay. Feel that. What does that feel like? Where do you feel it? How it makes you feel anxious, maybe. But just know that you are not too much for the right people. And it's one of those things where, again, like I said, feel it, but then I want you to reflect on it, because that's something that I did, is I really reflected on, oh my gosh, I want to show you so badly what notebook is it in. I have like 20 different notebooks. I'm just going to have to go based off of what I remember, because that notebook's deep in my dresser. But I went on a date with this guy back in 2020. And after the date, I like really liked him. I knew him like online, we text. We also went to school together, but this is the first time we were actually like starting to really connect. And we went on a date, and I felt like everything I did was annoying, weird, wrong. I was so in my head because I liked him, and so I was overthinking. And what I did was I wrote it down, all the negative beliefs I had about myself throughout that day, and I wrote them down, and then I reframed it to a positive belief I'd like to think about myself. So what I did was, well, let me just tell you an example. We went to a restaurant. I could kind of cringe. This is a little, and that's okay to feel. I'm not rejecting myself. I'm accepting that it happened and it was silly, and I probably wouldn't do that again. But also there's a part of me that is alive in this situation that is like silly and goofy and a child. So my hands were really sticky because I must have been eating some like wings or something like that. And at the end, like as we were just like hanging out talking, my hands were really sticky. I literally dunked my hand in my water. Like instead of going to the bathroom, I just dunked my hand in this water glass. And he literally was like, like out loud was like, oh, like what? And afterwards, I'm like literally going like this, like, like whatever, not a big deal. And like a part of that, I do see confidence in that of like not giving a shit, which I love that about myself, that I just don't care. But then there's a part of me that's like, all right, but we're at a nice restaurant and table manners, So there's two parts of this, accepting that it happened, but not judging myself for it, not rejecting myself for it. We just know where we not even went wrong. It's just like, we move on from it. And we know not to do it for next time, because it's just not how we want to present ourselves. It's not that it was wrong. It's just that it's not how I actually want to present myself. And so I learned from it. But one of the things I think I wrote was like, I'm weird or something like that. And I said, no, like I'm goofy and I'm expressive, and being weird is amazing. And another one that I wrote is I'm not pretty, because I was honestly comparing myself so much at the time to his ex, who's beautiful. And I got in my head and I was like, oh, she's so much prettier than me, so how can he like me if he liked her? It's not like that. he can like other people and find different people attractive in different ways. And so what I did to reframe that was, I am uniquely beautiful, and I'm not her, and she is not me. And I started looking at like all my traits that I loved about myself. It all comes back to self-love, guys, seriously. But I reframed that. Another one was, I think I was talking a lot, probably, and I said, I am overwhelming, and instead of that, I said, no, I am passionate. Or if I said, I talk too much, that was one of them. I said, I am knowledgeable. Like, I'm so smart, I'm knowledgeable, I'm insightful. Because we create all these limiting, low-frequency beliefs. They're not bad. They're just neutral. They just are. Like, we just feel this way. But it doesn't mean that it's a negative thing. It's just we're using a negative connotation to believe about ourselves. I hope I worded that, if that made sense. But then it's like there's always a positive way to look at something. And it's also a matter of like working on ourselves and knowing, like I said before, me dunking my hand in the water, I know that I don't want to show up that way. And it was just kind of like force of habit, like of just being like, because I'm weird, I'm goofy. But it just wasn't the right setting. And I know that. And I didn't want to show up that way. And it just happened. And that's okay. And now I've done the reflection and I've thought, okay, I know how I want to show up in the world. That doesn't align with how I want to show up. So it's not that I'm changing myself. It's just noticing and moving differently. Like, literally moving differently, thinking differently, like, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? So, you're not overwhelming. You're just passionate. You're not annoying. You are just informative and smart. You're not ugly. You're uniquely beautiful, and nobody looks like you, and that is your gift. Nobody is you, and that is your gift. We're at 12 minutes. You know, I haven't really got the hang of how long I want to go with these, if we're just going to free ball, but some of these episodes, literally, like I said, I talk a lot. Some of these episodes might be an hour long, but I'm not going to force it because I'm just flowing. So it'll all be different, but again, 222, I just saw. Angel numbers. But yeah, again, so excited that I'm starting this, that episode 2 of the podcast is out. But yeah, I hope you guys have an amazing day, and I love you all so, so much. Mwah! Bye.